effective questioning techniques, active listening, and adaptive communication. Let's take a look at these three important areas of communication. Effective questioning technique is crucial in all sales. What are the reasons for that? Well, the questions make the customer talk. The easiest thing to measure during a sales visit is who talks the most. Statistically speaking, the buyer usually talks more than the seller. The visit where the seller speaks the most has less chance of success. The conclusion is simple, namely that it pays to let the customer talk more, and it is done by asking the customer questions. Questions are a check of the attention. We have all learned that asking questions increases our attention. This leads to that the other party must follow the conversation. Questions convince, arguments don't. There is much truth in what have been said that you can never convince people of anything. The only thing you can do is to ask the right questions to get the people to convince themselves. Customers are notoriously reluctant to be convinced by arguments. Studies have shown that arguments only convince people who are already on your side. Questions reveal needs. Customers buy because they have a need. It is with the help of questions that you reveal and develop these needs. Without questions, your methods to meet the customer needs becomes based on only guessing. It is only by asking that you can understand what is important for the customer and why it is so. Try to use open questions to make the customer talk and give you more information. I'll give you an example of the difference between open and closed questions. Closed question. Do you work with continuous improvement in your operations? An open question. How do you work with continuous improvement in your operations? As you can see, the customer would give you much more information on the second question than the first, where they can answer, yes, I do. Here are some other examples on how to start an open question. What? When? How? In what way? Can you explain? Also, we do not want to fall into the trap of revealing our offering too soon. We want to get the customer to feel that they need what we have to offer in a compelling way. We can do this by having a mental structure of questioning types in our head, leading the customer to feel the need more clearly. Here are the 4 question types. Questions about the current situation and future plans. Questions about the goals and challenges. Questions about the consequences of continuing like now, or keeping the status quo. Questions about the benefit of solving the situation. And then you can mention what you're offering to help the customer. It is now clear for the customer what value you can bring. But it's not only about asking effective questions. We must also become experts in listening. And this is many times a challenge for the typical salesperson. The Chinese character for listening is a combination of 5 other characters. Ears, king, eyes, 1, referring to undivided attention, and heart. Quite a descriptive way of describing what listening really is about. There are 4 levels of listening. The first one is hearing. I hear what you're saying. The second one is listening to. I'm listening to what you're saying. The third level is listening after. I'm listening after meaning and where you're going with what you say. And the fourth one is active listening. And this is the level we shall try to adopt when we're talking to our customers. But what is it? Well, active listening is based on 3 components. Removing all distractions, such as mobile phones. Feeding back what you have understood. For example, do I understand you correctly that you prefer to scale the capacity in steps? Listening to the speaker's signs and sounds, body language, tone of voice. The words that are being said only represent 7% of communication. It is also very important that we adapt our communication style depending who we are talking to. There's an old saying that goes, treat others how you want them to treat you. But as you can see in the picture, it might not be the most effective way. How about treat others how they want to be treated? This is a much more effective way for people to create a liking for each other or create rapport. So what is rapport? Well, it's all about highlighting common interest and establishing a mutual feeling of friendliness. When people like each other, whether in business, friendship, or both, they tend to help each other. We all have different personalities, with different ways of communicating and to perceive situations. If we only treat others according to our own personality, we're bound to encounter resistance and dislike from others. If we learn to identify different personality styles and adapt our communication, we're more likely to be successful. The biggest part of the perception of your sincerity does not come from what you say, but how you say it and how you show appreciation for the other person's thoughts and feelings. If you can understand what style you can relate to most and identify the styles of other people, you can then learn to adapt your communication style better, create rapport, reduce friction, and improve relationship with others. I will go through the DISC model since that's the one I know best and in which I'm certified to make different types of assessments. At the highest level, there are two main dimensions. Some people are fact and task oriented when making decisions or taking actions, while other people are more emotional and people oriented when making decisions or taking actions. If we then consider the other dimension, some people are more reserved, reflecting, and group-oriented, and some people use the term introvert. And other people are more outgoing, intuitive, and me-oriented, which some people refer to as extrovert or social. Maybe you can already now identify which ones you can relate to. In a combination of these dimensions, we come up with 4 primal personality styles. We call them dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. So a fact-based person, who is also an extrovert, tend to be more direct and assertive, while a fact-based person, who is more reserved or introvert, tend to be more precise and analytical. It has nothing to do with knowledge or experience, but mainly about personal preferences. Let's look at the short description of the 4 styles. D style tend to be more direct, likes control and power, is goal-focused, and has a great deal of assertiveness. The I style tend to be more inspirational, motivational, open, social, and great at communicating. The S style tend to be more patient, persistent, cooperative, and has a high degree of thoughtfulness. The C style tend to rely more on facts, is very detailed, systematic, structured, and organized. There are of course many shades of these styles, but it is usually quite clear which of these styles your dominant style is. If you can learn to identify the styles of others and adapt your communication or presentation structure, rhythm, and energy level, you will be so much more successful. As I said, this is just the top of the iceberg on this subject. If you want to learn more, or even make a personality assessment on yourself or your team, please contact me. I would be happy to dive deeper into this subject with you, and also teach you the communication strategy with each style. In order to know what to say and how to connect your offering to the customer's specific situations and needs, you need to ask questions. Ask open questions, which makes the customers explain their goals and needs in a detailed way. Pay attention to the customer's answers by active listening. Give the customers your full attention without distractions. Read the body language and tone of voice. Feedback what you have understood and how you interpret what the customer has said. Try to adapt your communication style depending on who you're talking to. Think about how the other person communicates. Body posture, volume and speed, big picture or detailed focus, focusing on facts or feelings. The idea is to create rapport with the other person.